Simmons, fly ball, shallow left. Back is Cosma. He'll take it. He'll call. Oh, it's going to drop. It falls. Miscommunication. And the bases are loaded, and Boggs can't believe it. They're calling it an infield fly rule.
You cannot call that an infield fly.
No way.
It's too deep. He wasn't camped.
Welcome into Infield Fly, guys. It is Thursday, February 7th, almost 6 o'clock p.m. I'm Ben, joined as always by Blake Rochelle. Big day today, lots of stuff going down. We got baseball to talk about. We got the NFL season to recap. We got college basketball really getting going. Signing day was this week. All kinds of good stuff going on. And we've got a lot of stuff going on. We were supposed to do this podcast at 4 o'clock. We've spent the past 2 hours working on something brand new for y'all. We have a new website up now. It'll be launched when this podcast launches. infieldflysports.com. Again, that's infieldflysports.com. Blake's been working real hard on it. You can go on there, read all about us, about this podcast. You can subscribe to our email list, get news when we post a new podcast, when we post a new blog. All our social media links are on there. You can apply to be a guest on the show. We had guests a couple weeks ago. We'd love to have more. Did I miss anything, Blake?
I think you covered most of it, but the people are telling me. They're telling me this website is huge. The numbers, they're already fantastic. They're fantastic. Best website. China says it's great. No, but really, I'm super excited about it. I put a lot of work into it, and it's going to just continue to grow. We're hoping that this kind of brings more people in, keeps people closer. But the most important thing, if you don't get anything else out of the announcement about our website, is this. The most important thing about it is to apply to be a guest. There's a form on there that you fill out, and it contacts us. And that's my favorite part of it so far. Like I said, it's going to continue to grow. We've got our Instagram feed live on there on one of the pages. It's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited about it.
We're just trying to really streamline everything, get all of it in one spot. We've been spread out on all the social medias. With this website, everything will be in one neat, organized site. So just go on there, check it out, subscribe, do whatever on there. That would be fantastic. With all that said, we're going to just dive right in. First things first, of course, our MLB. Not a lot. A little bit happened today, I guess. Starting off, JT Realmuto finally, after ages of waiting around to be traded, all his buddies got traded last year. He had to suffer through with the terrible season with the Marlins. Finally is headed north to Philadelphia. The Phillies giving up their starting catcher, Jorge Alfaro, a pitching prospect, Sixto Sanchez, and another, I believe, pitching prospect, some international bonus money to land the big fish, JT Realmuto. I feel like the Phillies gave up a ton to get him, but if they go out and this is obviously a move that's going to try to entice Bryce Harper or Manny Machado even more to come to Philly, they're putting together a really nice lineup, and the NL East continues to be looking like a bloodbath.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you here. I think it's a steal. Not a steal, but I think it's a fantastic move for the Marlins.
Yeah.
They got two extremely highly rated prospects, Sixto Sanchez. So I got the Marlins' current top 30 prospects. Sixto jumps right to the top.
Yeah.
Electric fastball, has, doesn't have really a lot of the control issues that you see with a guy who can throw that hard. And he pitched in Double-A last year, so he very well could see the bigs this year with that Marlins rotation looking like it does. The other guy they got, Will Stewart, he's a lefty. I think it's 20th round pick in 2015. He's a little older, maybe not as far along though in his career, but his grades are pretty average. Fastball at a 55 out of 80, sliders, his main off pitch. So I mean, he's certainly not he's the third piece, obviously. And then Jorge Alfaro, the guy they plug right in away. They wanted a backstop coming back. That's why they were talking to the Padres about a trade, because then they could get back Meja in that trade. But I think this is, out of the deals that I saw floating around there, from whether it be the Braves, that were within reason, right? I think this is the best case scenario for the Marlins. And kudos to them for waiting it out and, going down to, what are we, like 3 weeks away from spring training? Or
next week, I think, is when pitchers and catchers report.
Right. But yeah, I mean, they waited to the very end and they got the best possible deal, I think, that they could. So kudos to them for sticking it out. So good job by the Marlins. Now, as far as the Phillies are concerned, they're starting to build a super team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're in win. They're going for it. They're in win now mode, so It makes sense for them as well.
And you talk about, this makes it more enticing for Harper or for Machado. Now, Machado has been linked to Philly for a long time now.
I think more Harper. I feel like they're leaning more towards Harper currently.
You think so?
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at, they went out and got Gene Segura. They bring in Realmuto to play catcher. The rotation, they added Patrick Corbin, so they've got three guys.
Corbin's in Washington.
Sorry, Washington. They made a move for their rotation. I can't remember, didn't they? Maybe
you just keep talking and all.
All right. And they're still on the market for a reliever too. So I know they've talked about spending crazy money, and they could still go out and get Craig Kimbrell if they wanted to pay that price. And if you kind of see it from their perspective now, if they're in this all-in mode, you got to do those moves now. You can't be half in, right? So you go and you give up a lot of prospect costs for Realmuto. Now you got to go all in, because that's how you're going to win. And, on my way driving home today, I was thinking kind of about the NL East and maybe how it was going to shape up this year. And I saw that the Mets were actually, according to this one projection thing that I was reading, they're actually projected to win the NL East. I think with this trade and then the following moves that are probably going to happen with the Phillies, I think the Phillies are easily the favorite to win this division, because they were right up there at the top until they kind of fell off the face of the earth in September last year. So to take that team and make it even better, it's scary for a Braves fan. It's scary if you're a Nationals fan too, because you think about, the Nationals go out, we're assuming they lose Harper, but they go out and they sign Patrick Corbin, like I misspoke earlier.
Yeah.
But they make a money move, and, they still got some guys that are kind of towards the end of their prime, but are still really good pitchers, whether you look at Scherzer or Rendon. They felt like maybe they could contend, but now you take this Phillies team and we're not going to call it the Warriors of the MLB, but if they get Harper or Machado, it's certainly headed that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, but they didn't
too.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Hoskins. They did not actually. They haven't done anything in their rotation, but it was already.
It's pretty solid.
It's pretty strong.
I feel like they could afford to make one move. I mean,
yeah, if they were to get somebody, but I mean, they got Nola and Arrieta at the top there, and then Pivetta had a strong season until he kind of faded at the end. And then the arm talent of Vince Velasquez hasn't really put it all together yet, but they have a solid 1 through 3 there. And then the bullpen is, they got David Robertson. That was probably who you were thinking of. They signed there to
right. I still feel like they could go out and get another reliever. I mean, like I said, if you're all in,
there's not a ton of relief left, but yeah,
Craig Kimbrell. If you're all in, go all in.
Yeah, Kimbrell. So that's the big move of the day. And then so yesterday there was a couple of potential rule changes posted on the board that'll be talked about, I guess, in the coming weeks. We'll see if any of them get passed, but a few of the highlights: a 3-batter minimum for pitchers, a universal DH, a single trade deadline before the All-Star break, 20-second pitch clock, expanding the rosters to 26 men. We can start with those because the last one is just horrendous. I'm not for the only one that, well, I'm not for any of the ones that are altering the actual game itself. The 3-batter minimum, the universal DH, and the 20-second pitch clock. I don't like those. The 3-batter minimum to me, the 3-batter minimum and the universal DH. If we implement those, why do we even have managers anymore? Like, what 3-batter minimum? Let's say the pitcher comes in, throws 8 straight balls, walks 2 guys, and then, obviously you should probably pull this guy, but you have to leave him in. He gives up a 3-run bomb. What if a pitcher gets hurt?
I think that'd probably be an exception.
Well, imagine how many guys could be, oh, I'm hurt, but they're not,
right. And I think that'd be the workaround.
Arm injuries, that's how they're going to work around it. I don't like that rule. Me and you are both NL guys. We're not a fan of the DH. I do think that the universal DH will be here sooner than later. I think it's inevitable that that's.
Let me interject real quick.
Go for it.
So those first two that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What they don't like is they don't like the switching fast between pitchers. Right. And there's kind of a small majority that don't like the specialized lefty that comes in and faces one batter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're talking about a specialized player. A DH is a specialized hitter. He doesn't play in the field. They're a special lefty coming into the game to pitch to one batter, in my opinion, is as specialized, if you want to call it that, as a designated hitter. Okay? So they say, well, he should be able to get other guys out instead of just having to come in and just face a lefty. Mm-hmm. All right, well, then a designated hitter should be able to field. Right. He should be able to play first base. So this argument that, I personally would like to see the DH abolished. And there's many reasons for that. And then the main reason is because I want to see guys in the field. I don't want to see a guy play half of a game like you said earlier. Right. Talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think it would kind of help with a competitive balance because then you still got these good bats where Giancarlo Stanton, he would still be in New York. All right, then Brett Gardner's got to go somewhere else or sit the bench. Mm-hmm. And what's the chances that he's going to be happy riding the pine? Right, so he's going to go somewhere else. You look at JD Martinez in that outfield. Please, somebody's got to go somewhere. One of them's not sitting on the bench.
Right.
You spread that talent out better, and that's a huge problem that baseball has, and we'll talk about that when we get to the worst rule on this list, is the competitive balance is not like it is. And basketball is the same way. It's awful. It's not like it is in football to me. I do think teams can compete on the day, but as far as elongated competitive balance, it's just not there.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said there. And then, a single trade deadline doesn't bother me. That's fine. That's fine by me.
That makes sense to me. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that one's fine. 20
That's
second
probably
pitch.
the most likely thing to get passed because I've heard the players' union is for this rule too.
Yep, I agree. And then a 20-second pitch clock, I hate.
Right.
The pitchers are the ones that control the game. It's their game, whether they want a quick pitch like Max Scherzer, get in the box and pitch, or if they want to take their time. And, I don't like watching games where pitchers take forever, but that's their prerogative if they want to do that. So I'm not for a 20-second pitch clock. And then expanding the rosters, I think the rosters should have been expanded before this, honestly, because there's a lot of talent in the minor leagues that could probably be playing for other major league teams, and it gives managers more tools, more toys to play with. So I'm okay with the rosters expanding as well. I don't know what your thoughts are on those last two there.
The pitch clock, I'd like to know like the average time that a pitcher takes in between pitches.
Yeah.
I don't know if like as far as 20 seconds, I don't really know how I feel about that because I don't really have a baseline for how long it takes.
Well, the thing about it is, though, and we talked about this, MLB setting a 20-second pitch clock is not going to suddenly make a bunch of people fans of baseball.
Right.
Like, because the pitchers suddenly have 20 seconds to pitch is not going to bring in a flood of fans all of a sudden. So I'm not really sure what they're trying to accomplish with that.
Uh-huh. I think probably they're thinking there is, I don't know, maybe they're trying to shorten the length of the game, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like I said, 20 seconds, 25 seconds, 30 seconds. I don't know what difference there is there. Like, I would be okay with the 30-second pitch clock if every pitcher that pitches now already was doing it in less than 30 seconds.
Right.
Like, if that's something that we have to do, I mean, I don't know. That one I don't really care about a pitch
Need a little
clock.
more
I'm not one way or the other
background.
on it. I do think games can last long sometimes, but that's just how baseball is. I feel like there are other ways that you could speed the game up instead of putting a pitch clock.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your half innings aren't so spread out. The breaks in between half innings or the breaks in between full innings, like after the 3 outs are recorded. In the old way of watching Atlanta Braves baseball games on Peachtree TV, there were no commercials. So you just sat there and watched the players run out onto the field, take their time, get some ground balls, speed that process up. Say you've got 1 minute after, and like I said, time, I'm not sold on 60 seconds. I'm just saying, for example, 1 minute after the last out is recorded. Instead of the guy striking out on a call third strike, slamming his helmet and sitting in the batter's box, just slowly taking off his gloves. Like, come on, dude. Let's go. Let's get this over with. Like, in high school baseball, it's much faster. And now, granted, the games are shorter, but whenever you get out or whenever your team is going to hit, it's boom, 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 let's go. Like, the umpires control that part of the game. So maybe it's a thing that the umpires do. We're like, hey, let's speed this process up. Let's quit taking all day in between innings. So maybe I think that's a much more way to approach it from a baseball purist standpoint.
Yeah.
Where you won't lose your core fans, but maybe it does speed the game up a little bit where maybe it brings somebody in. I don't think those are the rule changes that will happen. That would be a rule change that would, like you said, make more people come to watch the game. And as far as expansion of the rosters, I mean, I've told you this before. Just make the guy who started the day before, make his spot open. Because he's not going to play unless he goes into like an emergency pinch hit or run situation, which an extra guy could do. He's not going to play. He's not going to. No major league team is going to start a guy and him pitch, 5 innings the day before and then pitch him the day after. Unless it's playoffs. But during the regular season, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, expand it to 26. It gives you one more bench guy or one more bullpen arm, and that's for the managers to decide and the general managers to decide.
Right. Right. And then a couple others here. A study to lower the mound and a rule that would allow 2 sport amateurs to sign major league contracts. That is obviously a very specific rule there.
Kyler Murray rule.
Tailored to Kyler Murray. And then the study to lower the mound. That one kind of interests me because I want to know exactly what they're studying, but I don't want them to mess with the mound. Like the game is already at a peak offensively as far as power is concerned. If they lower the mound or move it back, that's just going to mess with pitchers, and it's going to. I don't know if are they worried about velocity? Like I'm not sure why they're doing that study, but that one kind of interests me to know exactly what they're studying. What are your thoughts on that one?
I don't understand. I want to know the numbers behind lowering the mound.
Yeah.
I'm reading this article. It's on answers.com, so it's anybody can go on there and post an answer. But this guy who sources it says that the MLB was actually lowered the mound from 15 to 10 inches in 1969. So I want to know, like, does it make the ball go faster? That would make sense. I mean, slower. Sorry, makes the ball go slower. That would make sense because you think about the physics behind it. If you're falling a shorter distance, you're getting less momentum or force or whatever you want to call it behind your fastball. But I don't think it's like it's one of those things where they're trying to do something to draw fans in, but it's stupid. Like it's not gonna do anything good for the game.
Right.
If a hitter can hit, if hitters get an advantage, hitters already at an advantage in my opinion.
We're in a hitter dominated era. We're not not in a.
Now,
strikeouts are on the rise right now.
Yeah, I will say that.
I don't know. don't know.
I'm not a fan of it. It's mostly because I'm a baseball purist. I think the game
Right,
is
we
not
both
perfect the way it is, but I'm happy with how it is, and I don't want a drastic change as far as lowering the mound. It just doesn't make any sense. I know in high school, and I keep comparing it to this, but there's I guess a range, because if you go to different parks, different mounds are different heights. So like I said, I guess shortening it would slow the ball down or make curveballs break less, sliders break less.
Yeah.
So it's benefiting the hitter. Do we really want to turn into the NFL where all we start to care about now is offense?
Right.
Or are we going to continue to value the defense and the pitcher?
Right. And then the last rule that I say for last, because it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever read in my life.
About any sport ever.
Draft advantages for winning teams and penalties for losing teams. So basically, they want to implement a penalty for tanking. For a team that loses, was it 90 plus games 3 years in a row,
right?
You are now penalized, and your draft position moves back later in the draft. So you suck forever, basically. It's ridiculous. First of all, yes, some teams have had success tanking. The Cubs, the Astros. That is a rarity. It is an absolute rarity that you are able to tank and all of your picks pan out, and you surround those picks with the right talent to win, and then a few years later, everything works in your favor and you win. That is such a rarity, and it's more rare in the MLB than any other sport. And now you want to penalize teams that maybe are just horrible, like the Baltimore Orioles, and you're going to make them – they have no chance at getting a top prospect or a top player in the draft. It's a ridiculous penalty. It's a ridiculous rule. It makes no sense. I don't know what they're thinking. We talked about it a lot last night. Let's hear what you have to say about it, Blake.
It's overthinking. A lot of these rules are just overthinking. There's all these smart guys in a room trying to make a fix to make this game more popular, and they're overthinking it. They're not marketing their best player in 50 years in Mike Trout. They're not marketing him like they should.
They're worried about
because he's on the West Coast.
Stupid crap. But
as far as this rule is concerned, so I'm reading from Joel Sherman, who I think was one of the first guys to actually break one of this story. And he tweeted this it was yesterday morning. So in the 7th tweet of his thread of tweets about all of these rules, he said, and pardon me if I speak awkwardly here, he had to use a lot of abbreviations, but they are trying to counter tanking by offering that any club that loses 90 or more games for a second straight year moves back 15 spots in June. So you lose, let's say you have a rough year and you lose 90 games. You better win. You better win. What is it? The 53 games no, it's more than that. Whatever the math is to where you don't lose 90 games. If you lose 90 games in 1 year,
you have to win 73.
You're dropping 15 spots. Yeah, thank you. You're losing 15 spots in the draft. Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? If you couldn't figure it out that year, if you lose 90 again the next year, you're going to drop 20 spots and lose $3 million in international slots. Sorry. And the one before that, you lose $2 million in international slot. And for anyone who doesn't really know that much about international slot money, $2 million is almost, I think it's almost like a fourth of your pool.
Yeah.
Most teams, like the max, I think the Orioles had this year was around 7. So that's a huge chunk of change. And it comes back to this, like the reason the draft is reverse order of the standings is for competitive balance. And I talked about it with, the designated hitter situation. If you tell bad teams that if you're bad, you're not going to get a chance to rebuild, that's going to cause chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. Like in what sport, when you have a rough stretch of 3 years, imagine if the Titans back in whatever year it was before they drafted Mariota, if the NFL said, "Hey, you had a rough few years, we're going to drop you 10 spots."
That's so
You
ridiculous.
think they would have Mariota? No. And it's just absurd.
Like, you've already suffered enough by losing, and now we're going to make you suffer more by dropping you in the draft.
Right, and it's stupid. So what they want to do then is say, all right, we're going to drop you. So all these bad teams. Now these teams that were kind of in the middle, we're going to bump them up, give them the best players. What if the Yankees, come in third in their division and they go out and sign 4 all-star players like they signed 2 all-star players back in 2014 that I wrote about in my article. Okay, that Yankees team, we're going to give them a top 10 pick too, even though they won 91 games last year. It's ridiculous. And there was one other thing. I mean, it's not like they're tanking like in the NBA. So it's not like there's a set top 3 like there is this year in the NBA with Zion, RJ Barrett, and most people agree Cam Reddish is probably in the discussion, at least for number 3. It's not like that kind of level of tanking where we're going to tank so we can get one player that is going to set our franchise for life, like a LeBron James. It doesn't work like that in MLB. You think about top 5 MLB draft picks, and I really wish I would have done more research on that, and it's my fault for not doing it. But you talk about top 5 or top 10 draft picks, the percentage of those guys making it to the MLB, it's not like the NBA where you're just handed the money and you're there. Like, these guys have to work, and a lot of times they don't work out.
Right.
We talked about last night. Name some number 1 surefire overall picks. Bryce Harper, Ken Griffey Jr. How far apart are they separated? I said Correa was potentially a surefire. You're talking like 20 years apart.
I can pull up right now the last 15 years of first overall picks. So
Luke Hochover, I know, was on number 1.
2003, Delman Young, Matt Bush, who is now a pitcher. He was drafted as a shortstop. Justin Upton, Luke Hochaver, David Price, Tim Beckham, Strasburg Harper, Garrett Cole, Correa, Mark Apple, Brady Aiken, Dansby, and then we get into the current guys, Monty Waste Lewis.
Yeah.
It's
not a surefire thing when you get a top pick that you're going to get a great guy. So it's not – you are rewarding the team by giving them that advantage of having that top pick, but it doesn't mean they're going to use it right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Royals took Luke Hochover at the first overall pick. What did he turn out to be? What did he have, one good year in the big leagues?
Became a reliever.
Exactly. And he was a fantastic pickup in MLB The Show, but he's awful in real life.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the guys running the league are obviously smart. They're there for a reason. But just overthink it. Call me. Let me help you out, because you guys are overthinking it way too much. There are little things that you can tweak without making these drastic changes that will scare off your core fan base.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, I know for a fact there are people where if the designated hitter were established in the National League, there would be people that would maybe not quit watching baseball, but they wouldn't watch it like they used to. And you think about the initial disadvantage it would put or National League teams at. Right now, the Braves don't have a designated hitter.
Right.
Orson being their DH or Johan Camargo being their DH. But it's just, the Dodgers are probably the only team in the National League, maybe the Cubs, that would have an extra player that would be of the caliber of a designated hitter. Like
we have
the
one.
Red Sox or the Yankees.
Cardinals have one. Jose Martinez.
Yeah, well, as a Cardinals fan, you should probably want it.
He can't. He can't field. That's all.
Right.
All he can do is hit. All right. Let me ask you this: if you were guaranteed the Braves to, first, would you take 10 years of Bryce Harper right now on Atlanta?
Would I take 10 years of him at 26?
If the DH came to the NL.
If the DH, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because even though you probably wouldn't get 10 great years out of him, you could get probably about 5 or 6, maybe 6 good years of outfield Bryce Harper, and then 2 or 3 DH Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're at year 8, 9. The 10th year is just extra cash that you couldn't throw in the yearly to save your budget.
Yeah. So. And then I'll just suffer for the rest of my life with a DH in the National League. So.
Basically.
That's pretty much all the rule changes. What, do you have something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to. I know if there's anybody out there who plays the show, what were your I know it was a really quick trailer. Do you have any thoughts on that you wanted to talk about? I don't know. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. I thought it looked good.
Right.
I mean, I like how they're, I guess, kind of trying to incorporate legendary players more. Like that last little clip of Willie Mays was pretty awesome.
The over the shoulder at Polo. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool. I would like to know more about the game itself besides just a trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought the trailer looked good.
Yeah, they've always done a really good job, in my opinion, of aesthetically pleasing the fans as far as how the game looks and feels. It's kind of just the features that have really been lacking. And I'm just hoping that this year they kind of take that next step forward. I did watch a breakdown of a guy pausing and playing. Shows you how big of a nerd I am of like some of the scenes and some of the pages. It looks like they are going to make some feature changes. We'll see how much they are. But, you know, we're only a month and a half out, I believe, or a little bit less than that from the release. So
pretty close. Pretty close. We did have some power rankings. I think we're going to
totally forgot about those.
Yeah, let's hold off on those till next week because we talked a lot today. We had a lot to talk about. But we've been posting them up on our pages and everything, and you can see them on our new website if you go there and see our Instagram posts. And we'll talk about shortstop, third base, and left field next week when we talk about MLB. But we're going to take a quick little break, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL wrapping up. So hang with us.
Welcome back in, guys. It's Infield Fly. Real quick, we've already mentioned it before. We're going to mention it before every segment because we really want you guys to go check it out. We've been working really hard on it. We have a new website it's launched. It's infieldflysports.com, infieldflysports.com. Go check it out. You can get all our content on there. You can download our podcasts directly to your phone and have the actual file on your phone so you can listen without using data. You can sign up to be a guest on our show. You can subscribe for our newsletter. That's kind of a new thing. We're not really sure how often that's going to come out, but anytime that we post an update or we post a podcast, you will get an email very shortly about it being posted so you can get immediate access to it. But Ben, we're back here. Time to recap the Super Bowl.
Fun.
I know a lot of people didn't like it, and I was in that crowd. I fell asleep in the third quarter. Look, some people love the defense side of the ball, but it was too much for me. There was no offense in this game at all. I mean, It was awful. One of the worst Super Bowl. It may be the worst Super Bowl that I've ever watched. And I've watched probably
I put
16 now.
I put it right up there with the Seahawks. I think the worst was when Seattle spanked Denver and Peyton.
That's true.
That was probably the worst for me because in that one I was actually rooting for a team and it was the team that got spanked. This game I just didn't care at all, and I didn't really pay attention toward the middle of the game, and it was
not enjoyable.
No, it wasn't. There was no highlight plays. It just wasn't good football. And I'd already sat through a full season of watching the Titans play ugly games. I didn't want to sit through a Super Bowl of it.
I will say
Definitely not what I expected.
If there was any good football that came out of it, it was Belichick's defense.
Yeah.
I told you, man, and I know you agree, and a lot of people agree with me, but he is the best defensive coach in any level of football ever.
Well, are you sure he's better than Greg Schiano?
I don't know. We're going to find out what Greg Schiano can do with the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
But no, Brady Belichick, that's 6-3 in the Super Bowl. And they don't look like they're slowing down. Now, Brady did not look great in this game.
Yeah.
But they find a way to win. And look, you can say that it's all Belichick or it's no Brady. I think it's a combination. I think it's mostly Belichick. But Brady has done – you talk about the most important position in any sport is quarterback in the NFL. Most everyone would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, the team to have the success that they've had, they can't do it with a bad quarterback.
Right.
And it just so happens that Brady got lucky that he was on the Patriots. You know, if Peyton Manning's on the Patriots, I think, you know, it's almost the same outcome. But a guy that gets undervalued and overlooked until this game was Julian Edelman. I said on the podcast last week, and Suzanne even called me out for it in a good way, that I said, watch third down.
Yeah.
Throw it to Edelman. And what do? All night long, they threw it to Edelman. Edelman coming away with the MVP. He's a stud, man. He is so good. And I saw a tweet about this where, and I'm not trying to bash on the guy at his highest moment, but, you know, he did have the PED issue at the beginning of the year where he sat out, but he was voted the MVP of the Super Bowl. That shows the difference in the voters in this sport and baseball. So you have Barry Bonds, who used PEDs and is arguably the greatest hitter of all time, can't get into the Hall of Fame because he used PEDs. I thought that was – I didn't think about it because I honestly forgotten about Edelman and PEDs at the beginning of the season. I think it's just kind of how the games differ. For some reason, people think that PEDs are more decisive or more advantageous when you use them in baseball, when it's just the opposite.
Yeah.
Like PEDs in football make you stronger. Football, you have to be strong. It's just a thought, real quick thought of just how both leagues differ in that and viewing that. So,
yeah, I got you. My biggest takeaway and I heard something about this earlier today, that does anyone actually believe that Todd Gurley was healthy in that game? There's no, I heard something earlier that the Rams' plan all along was to split the carries evenly between him and CJ Anderson. Nobody in their right mind is buying that.
no.
Maybe Rams fans that live in LA because they don't watch the games.
Right.
Nobody's buying that. There's no way Gurley was healthy. And if he is healthy, maybe it changes it, but I don't think so. That game changed when Goff had Cooks wide open in the middle of the end zone and threw a duck that was fluttering the whole way there. And old man Jason McCourty came from outside the numbers all the way back to the middle of the end zone and broke the pass up. That's when that game changed, because the Rams were kind of moving and Cooks was wide open for so long, and the throw by Goff was just horrible. And there's no way that a corner that is as old as Jason McCourty should be able to get there and break that pass up. To me, that was when that happened, I was like, this game is done. The Patriots are winning. I think at that point it was still tied. May have still been tied.
I think so.
I think
it was 3-all.
Yeah.
But
that
was
was
the Gurley thing. Like, if he is injured, why hold that information back?
Right.
You're just making it a situation when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that would reserve me to the fact that he was hurt. Because if he was hurt, just say he's hurt.
Tell
he
us.
Can't play.
Yeah. Just
That's
say it.
Then there's no – you don't have to try to cover up and lie that, you know, we were planning on splitting the carries. And no, you weren't.
Nobody
believes
that.
You're one of the best offensive minds in football. You know what is going to work, and Todd Gurley and the zone run scheme is going to work. So I don't get it, man. If his knee was really bothering that bad, and I did hear him on the broadcast say it was kind of a day-to-day thing. If he woke up today and it just didn't feel right, and it just didn't feel right, well, tell people that. Say it just doesn't feel right today. I can't play. I don't know if he's trying to make it like he's not soft, but to me, trying to cover up an injury and lie about it,
that's soft.
It's softer.
Yeah.
Than saying, look, man, I'm just hurt. And people will get that. Like his teammates, I'm sure his teammates know the truth, but people that are around the team will get that. Say, look, man, I'm hurt. I understand. Other people have been hurt whether it be job related or whatever, they understand how it can affect you. And playing the most physical sport, in the world, of course, being injured is going to hamper you, especially when you play the position that he does. So,
right, 100%. Moving on from the Super Bowl, I mean, it is Thursday. It's been talked about. All the awards were handed out. No real surprises, I don't think. We predicted them a while back. We pretty much hit all the nails on the head. Mahomes coming away with Offensive Player and MVP, well deserved. Over 5,000 passing yards, 50 touchdowns. I mean,
it won't be his last, in my opinion.
The kid is unbelievable, and he's in a great offensive system. He's going to keep on slinging it. They clearly made the right move, trading or getting rid of Smith. Defensive, Aaron Donald, again, probably won't be his last. The guy's an absolute monster. Draws double and triple teams every game. Offensive rookie and defensive rookie, Saquon Barkley, Darius Leonard. Saquon had over 2,000 scrimmage yards in a horrible offense, and Darius Leonard is an absolute monster, and I hate that he plays for the Colts, and we're going to have to face him twice a year.
Yeah, at least he's on defense.
His career. True. I mean, he led the league in tackles, I believe.
By a large margin.
A big sum. Coach of the year, Matt Nagy, I thought well-deserved. Got the Bears to the playoffs. Was a field goal away from, moving on. Did good things. Got Khalil Mack over there. Did really good things with Mitch Trubisky, putting him in position to succeed. And then comeback player of the year, no question about it, Andrew Luck, coming back from his year-long absence and looking like Andrew Luck of old, behind an offensive line that kept him upright. We were reminded of the talent that he has. I mean, his arm talent is just as good as anyone else in this league. So pretty much all what we expected there. And if you're missing football already, the Alliance of American Football, the AAF, one of the two new leagues, along with the XFL that's starting up soon, is starting on Sunday. And I actually hadn't even thought about this league much until I saw that you put it in our slides. And then I went and looked at the rosters of some of the teams, and there's a lot of familiar names on these rosters,
especially on that Memphis team.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mettenberger is their quarterback, right?
Yeah, they've got Mettenberger, and then they've got Zach Stacy and Rajon Neal in the backfield.
Yeah.
They've got Dantes Bird from Tech, our alma mater.
Yep, I saw that.
Pig Howard's on there. Demetrius Rainey, a guy from TSU. They've got two other guys from TSU that I don't recognize. Dallas Thomas, former Tennessee player. I saw, Corey Vereen, and then one more name I want to throw out there because it's funny. Colton Jumper, linebacker for the Memphis Express.
Yeah, don't want
Colton Jumper, our old nemesis.
Yeah,
but
I mean, some of these other teams, like the Birmingham team, has Blake Sims and Trent Richardson on it.
Right.
So yeah, just some interesting names out there. You may know more about this league than me because I haven't actually looked at it a whole lot.
Yeah, I've done a little research on it, and it's I haven't actually looked at an official NFL statement on it, but they seem to be really accepting of it.
That's
because weird. I read that this opening weekend there are going to be games on CBS, yes, Channel 5, and then throughout the year there's going to be games on the Turner networks. I believe it's going to be on TNT. It's either TNT or TBS. Games are going to be on there. It's going to be on CBS Sports Network, and there's actually going to be games on NFL Network.
Huh.
Yeah, and I thought that was weird.
It is weird.
But it's not like they're taking players away from the NFL. Obviously, if players perform well in this league, they're going to, I guess, move up. I'm doing air quotes right now. Move up to the NFL. It's not really a developmental league per se. It's kind of like a combine-y league. Like, hey, I'm going to play this sport and show you that I've got it or whatever.
Right.
NFL teams come calling. It's, a team in Memphis. If it was a little bit closer, I would check that team out. There's a lot of names on there that I recognize.
Yeah.
Mike Singletary is actually the head coach.
I saw that
of the Memphis team, which that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I thought Hugh Freeze had agreed to be a coach of a team.
Well, he's at
I
Liberty now.
Yeah, no, before that, I'm
Oh,
pretty
I got
sure
you.
that he had agreed to be the head coach of a team.
He's well, the Arizona Hotshots staff has him listed as their offensive coordinator.
Yep. Okay, that's who I was thinking of. And then Spurrier, I believe, is coaching a team as well, or being an assistant coach for a team. So I mean, it's not any names that are just gonna be like, oh, I got to go see that guy play.
Michael Vick is the OC of the Atlanta team.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, so it's names that you recognize in a lot of spots, but not guys who are good enough to be in the NFL. So, we'll see how long it lasts. I think it'll be fun to watch. We're gonna miss football. We'll see what kind of product they put out there, if it's worth anything. But yeah, it'll be fun to tune in every now and then. I'm obviously not going to be invested into it like we are the NFL, but it gives guys who make a career out of this game another shot, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, Spurrier is coaching the Orlando Apollos, and Bob Sanders. Bob Sanders is his defensive coordinator. Right. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting, all the names that I'm seeing out here.
It's a name thing.
Yep.
Oh, and kind of I had the executives listed here. I almost forgot about them, but the co-founder, Bill Polian.
Yeah,
former GM for the Colts. I think he was a GM. He was higher up when during Peyton Manning's time. Polamalu is the head of player relations. Then you've got a couple other guys in the executive positions with former player in the NFL Hines Ward, Jared Allen, former defensive lineman, and another defensive lineman, Justin Tuck. So you got some NFL guys kind of steamheading this. And, some class guys. Bill Polian, respected well around the NFL. Troy Polamalu, excellent player, very highly respected. And then, obviously, Jared Allen and Hines Ward, and they're both highly respected guys. So, maybe they'll make this product better than what most think that it's going to be. We'll see.
Did you see who the OC is of the San Diego Fleet?
Nope.
Mike DeBoard.
Mike DeBoard making that return.
He's back, baby. They're going to be DeBoard of that offense in San Diego.
Just wait. Butch Jones is going to get one of these jobs. You just wait.
Head coach of the Memphis team, reuniting with all his former players.
Right. He's going to have Colton Jumper, his love child, on his defense. That's going to be glorious.
Oh, God. I hope they get beat every game. Oh, me. Well, that pretty much wraps up our football talk. So we'll check out the AAF. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk a lot of hoops when we get back. Big games this weekend for a lot of teams. Vols keep on rolling, so stick with us. Guys, we're on segment number 3, college hoops. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, not just Vols, all the SEC, some good games Saturday, Duke, Virginia Part 2, Villanova, Marquette, Tennessee's got Florida. I think there's probably even more that I'm not thinking of right now, but those are the big ones. But we got a lot to get to. It's about halfway through conference play. We got a month left here, February, before the madness of March starts up. So we're going to pick some midseason awards SEC for the SEC player, coach, freshman of the year. I think no one's going to be surprised at either of our players of the year for the SEC.
No, probably not.
Both of us going with Grant Williams. I mean, there's not much else to say about him from us that hasn't already been said. He's leading the league in scoring. He's averaging what I don't have his stats actually pulled up, but I think it's like 7 rebounds, like 3 or 4 assists a game. I mean, he does it all. Tennessee's team is making history. He's shoots free throws as good as anyone in the league. He can take over a game, and right there in the paint, in the middle of the court, he's absolutely unstoppable. Easily the player of the year again. Should be back-to-back for Grant taking home SEC player of the year, in my opinion.
20 points per game, a steal per game, 2 blocks per game, 3 assists, and 7 rebounds. And
Yeah.
he's shooting 84% from the line. Yeah, I mean, he's just playing at a different level.
Yeah.
And he's doing it on the best team in the conference. So he's carrying this team. He's carried them specifically in games, in the Vanderbilt game, for example. And he won it last year, and he's putting up similar, if not better, numbers this year, with the focus being more on him on defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
So, yeah, he deserves it, in my opinion.
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. So next, coach of the year, I'll go ahead. We do differ here. I'll go ahead and give mine. I'm sticking with the Vols theme. Rick Barnes is my coach of the year. Tennessee, 20-1, I believe. Right, 20-1.
20-1, yep.
20-1. Doing it with not a single top 100 recruit. Rick Barnes got his guys in here and has built this team from the ground up. If you don't remember where they were when we had Dietrich Mostella and Derek Reese out there running around to where we are now on top of the country, the number 1 team in the country. Ricky B is my coach of the year. He's a phenomenal coach. He can draw, he knows what he's doing on offense. He knows what he's doing on defense. I have been a little concerned with the Vols D lately, but they're getting it under control, guarding the 3-point line. And that's just a testament to their coaching. He's never satisfied, and he rides his best players harder than any of his other players. And we've seen how well that has paid off with guys like Grant Williams and Jordan Bone playing the best basketball of their careers now. So Barnes is my coach of the year so far.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that.
Yeah.
He absolutely deserves it. But to me, I was kind of thinking a different route here as far as progression and what this team is, what they did last year compared to how much they've gotten better.
Right.
And that's with LSU and Will Wade. I love Will Wade. I think he's an awesome coach. I think he's going to continue to be a great coach in this league and can get LSU to an elite level in basketball, because they obviously have the facilities, and LSU is one of the most recognizable brands in college sports. So I like what he's done with the players that he's brought in. And they're sitting right now, I think they have 1 loss. They almost lost last night in overtime. I'm trying to remember who it was against. I think Mississippi State. Yep, Mississippi State. But they have 1 loss in the SEC, and they're right there in the thick of it with Kentucky and Tennessee halfway through the season. So for me, I think he absolutely deserves my vote there.
I would agree with that. All right, so moving on to freshman of the year. Resurgent Kentucky team. And this guy's had his struggles a little bit, but he's leading their team in scoring right now. I'm going with Keldon Johnson. To be fair, I have not watched a ton of Kentucky basketball. I watched them play Vandy the other night, if you want to call that a game. They beat Vandy by 30. PJ Washington is dominating, the headlines right now, rightfully so. But Keldon Johnson, I mean, most people expected him to come in and play well, and he has. Like I said, he's leading their team in scoring at 14 a game, and he's got them, him and PJ Washington and Tyler Hero, that's their best 3 offensive weapons, and they've got Kentucky right up there in the top 5 of the country. For the first 2 months of Kentucky season, he was hands down their best player. He had a little 5-game stretch there where he averaged 18 points per game, and three times he scored 20. but he's only had one 20-point game in his last 10. So he's come back down to earth a little bit. But he's, like I said, still leading their team in scoring. So you see the potential he has there. And if Kentucky keeps playing hot like this, then he's going to be a vital piece for them down the stretch.
Right. I mean, and you talk about Kentucky, and they always bring in, elite freshmen. So this is not a new award for them. I like that pick. I was kind of torn on mine. I know I did my research a lot later than you did, as far as that.
5 minutes ago.
And it's close. I think there's 3 real guys. Obviously, Keldon, that you mentioned, Kiera Lewis Jr. from Alabama, and
very good player.
Reed from LSU. I'm going to go ahead and give the nod to Naz. He's destructive force on the defense, 14 points per game, 6 boards a game as a freshman, and he's really been a key part in making this LSU take that next step forward. So I like Naz. I'd give him my nod if I had a vote. So I actually do have both of my Coach of the Year and Freshman of the Year coming from the same team. What do you know? LSU having a great year.
They are. They are having a good one. So with that said, LSU having a good year, Tennessee having a good year, Kentucky having a good year. Who's your pick right now to finish out the season and win the SEC?
I think my overall pick to win the regular season title.
Yes, the regular season, not tournament.
Right. Yeah, because, we obviously know tournament, a lot of things can happen.
Anything could happen, yeah.
Right. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I like Kentucky. I think they're going to do it. I think they're playing so well right now, and a lot of people aren't noticing it. Yeah. I think P.J. Washington is playing like the best player in this conference, although I don't think he's going to get the award.
Yeah.
And you talked about the freshmen that they have. Coach Cal, we always talk about how they start off slow, but they figure it out in March.
Yeah.
They figured it out a little bit sooner this year.
Yeah.
Now this is all subject to change, obviously. Things can happen. But if I had to pick right now, I think if it's on a pie scale, it's 51% or 51% of me says Kentucky's going to get it, and then 49 thinks Tennessee's going to get it. I think it's down to those 2 teams. LSU's right there with 1 loss, but I don't know. So Tennessee goes to LSU. I think Tennessee probably wins that game. I don't know if LSU can continue to have elongated success. They've been tested a lot here lately. You saw last night almost losing to State. So I think it's down to Tennessee and Kentucky. I'm probably going to catch some hate for this, but right now I'm leaning towards Kentucky. So that doesn't mean I want them to win. I absolutely want Tennessee to win, but as picking from an unbiased standpoint, I do think Kentucky wins the regular season championship.
Yeah. So, Kentucky's defense has been playing otherworldly right now. That's been the most impressive thing to me. Their defense has been incredible. That said, I'm still sticking with the Vols to win it. I'm going to be a homer. There is a stretch at the end of Tennessee's schedule that is going to be tough. They've got LSU, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Auburn. And 3 of those are road games. The 2 home ones are Kentucky and Mississippi State. That is going to be the stretch. That's going to be the toughest stretch Tennessee's faced this year, I think. And they're going to drop a game. Somewhere Tennessee is going to lose a conference game. Whether that be that we split with Kentucky or what, they're going to lose a game. And last year, I think it was – I can't remember who it was that was talking about it. It was either Jimmy Dykes or somebody on ESPN that last year in this conference, I think Tennessee and Auburn won it at 13-5. If you lose 5 conference games this year, you're not winning this conference. I mean, you look at the top 3, have 2 losses between the 3 of them. It's going to take 15 wins probably to win the conference this year.
Right.
And Tennessee has set themselves up. They're already 9-0. So they're sitting pretty right now. Obviously, everybody's gunning for them. We keep hearing about they're getting everybody's best shot. And so I had an interesting stat because the 3-point shooting has been killing me lately. And we've seen it where every team is roasting hot at 3 against Tennessee. Well, they've had issues guarding the 3-point line. So I had an interesting little stat that a guy put on Twitter. So in the Vandy game, Vanderbilt had 15 catch and shoot opportunities, and 10 of them didn't have a Tennessee player within 3 feet of the shooter. And why that's happening is because Tennessee switches on their screens and guys roll in, and the rotation is late getting there. And it's been late,
Right.
and it was a lot better the other night against Missouri. And then, so the game before that, Alabama game, Alabama had 13 catch and shoots with 11 unguarded. And then they had 10 unguarded catch and shoots against South Carolina. They've cut down on it. West Virginia, there was 10. Texas A&M, there was 12. Since then, they are now against Missouri. They were 80% guarded. Their threes were 80% guarded. So they've gotten a lot better at guarding the three. I know I didn't word that exactly right because I was trying to read a tweet, but the gist is their 3-point defense was really bad, but it's getting a lot better. And that's been the thing that's been killing them so much lately. They've been managing to outscore these teams, but I think if they can crack down on that defense, then I think they're set up good to win the SEC. To put that in a long,
it's a very narrow margin. I just think that Tennessee hasn't been playing great on defense lately.
Yeah.
So that concerns me. Like you said, it's all about the 3-point ball. They run into a team that's shooting hot. They run into 2 teams that are shooting hot. They could lose 2 games. In Kentucky, we still have 2 games home and away with them. I think ultimately they split those games. I think the home team wins each game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if Tennessee has an extra loss hammered in there somewhere, it's going to bode not well for them.
Right.
So,
exactly.
And it's very fluid. Like I'm trying to protect myself a lot right now because I just picked Kentucky midseason to win the SEC.
Yeah.
But it's just my opinion, right? It doesn't matter.
And it's a testament to the way they're playing right now. Which
right.
Is really
exactly.
Good. So with that said, who's your kind of surprise team that's kind of snuck up on you this year in the SEC that maybe you didn't expect to be so good?
Yeah, I wanted to go Ole Miss. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd probably say Ole Miss.
They kind of came crashing back down here lately.
Right, because, I believe they were picked last
They were.
in the preseason.
Yep, they were.
I think that's right. And right there for a week or 2, they were right there at the top, undefeated in SEC play, had some really nice wins with, not a solid roster. But since they have kind of fell back down to earth, I think it makes it easier to go with who else? LSU. Just the turnaround that Will Wade's done there in the 2 short years that he's been there. I didn't expect him to have the success that he has right now with I believe 8-1 record in the SEC this far into the conference.
Yes.
So I would go with LSU there. Like I said, he's definitely take them in the right direction if he stays out of recruiting violation trouble. So
right. So my surprise team, because I could pick LSU too, but kind of want to go a different route. I got Alabama as my team. They've got some players. We talked about Kira Lewis, Dante Hall, and then of course Petty, who lit Tennessee up. But I don't know if anybody really expected them to be in the top. They're sitting in 5th place right now.
Right.
Granted,
kind of in that middle of that really just crowded.
Right. There's a lot of teams
area.
Sitting at 5-4 and 4-5 right now. They're 14-8 overall, 9-2 at home. If they could ever figure out a way to just get consistent ball, because we've seen them take Tennessee to the edge. We saw them beat, that's Kentucky's one loss in the SEC was to Alabama. And I don't know if anybody really expected them to lose Colin Sexton and continue to have success. But they
Especially
have a really
guard play.
Right. If they have a really good coach in Avery Johnson, and they got a double machine down there in Dante Hall. So I think 5-4 is not anything to write home about, but in a tough conference, that's I think that they've done a good job down there in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Talk about Kira Lewis, a freshman that's really stepped up, and then Cam Petty, who went for 30 against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Losing a guy of Colin Sexton's caliber, a lottery pick who's balling. He scored 27 last night, I believe, for the Cavs.
Yeah.
other guys have to step in and kind of fill that void, and I feel like they've done a really good job of doing that. And we'll see where it goes from here. Like you said, it's a tough conference, and they've still got some tough games left. But so far, Avery Johnson, when he was hired there,
it was kind of questionable. Like, what are they doing?
Not questionable for the fact it's not that I didn't think he was a good coach. I just didn't know if it was the right fit. Like,
right.
I don't. It's like, why is Alabama hiring this former NBA coach? I didn't get it. But I mean, so far it's worked out pretty good for him. I mean, this is some of the best basketball that Alabama's had in a long time. So.
Yep. So who's your team that has not played their best basketball? Who in this league has been an utter disappointment?
I mean, I don't want to bash on the team, and I think it's really easy to pick this one. But I will throw another little excerpt out at the end. But for me, it's Vandy.
Yeah.
And it's not really all their fault. Like, look, they lost a top 10 player in the game. Like, Darius Garland is projected to be a top 15 draft pick, even with the knee injury. So, they lose him. It kind of just, when you lose your point guard, your floor general, it kind of just resets your whole season.
Yeah.
Because now you've got to move Saban Lee back to point guard, where really he was really flourishing as the 2 guard, kind of opening things up for him. And then you put a lot more pressure on your bigs, because they've got to pick up some slack where Garland could get you any bucket at any time. Like, he was that gifted. And it hurts your morale too, I think. Especially now with him not even being around the team, withdrawing from school.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not their fault, but they are the most disappointing for me, because I think they were picked. I'm going to look this up because I'm tired of saying I think they were picked. But
it was in the top half.
Yeah, it was. So give us like 2 seconds, because I'm not a good sports reporter or columnist.
We don't have an intern here to pull up stats.
And then I hate. Okay, I'm sure other people out there are like this, but I hate the websites where it's a slideshow.
Yeah.
The
rank to go to next slide.
Right, and that's the only thing I like about Titans. Facebook posts is they're like, don't click on this article. The Titans, like for mock drafts, you have to click through every single pick. They're like, don't click. The Titans are projected to take him, or they think the Titans are going to take him. I'm like, thank you.
But you know who will never give you clickbait? InfieldFlySports.com, which is our website that I forgot to promote at the start of this break. So if you're listening to the College Hoops segment, go check out our new website, InfieldFlySports.com. We've been working hard on it. That's why this podcast has taken us 3 hours tonight. And we'll never give you clickbait. And if we do,
write us an email.
Yes, a hateful one. And we'll be sure to
really
get back
bad.
to you. But while he's doing that, my team that's underachieved is Florida. You think about Florida basketball, and you don't expect to see 4 and 5 in the conference by their name, and 12 and 10 overall. And they have good players. Like, I don't have their roster pulled up, but what's his name? The little guy that
I like Kealan Vaughn or Keyshawn
yes,
Vaughn.
He's the one I'm thinking about. Vaughn. He can shoot the dang lights out, man. And they don't
really can.
They don't really use him that well. Like, at the end of that game against Tennessee, he wasn't even on the floor. Kayvon Allen is his name. And he wasn't even on the floor there at the end. I don't exactly know what that was about. But they're my disappointing team. I mean, you expect them to contend for the SEC pretty much year in, year out, and be at the top there. And they are not anywhere close this year.
And that was going to be my little excerpt, was if Florida continues the path that they're on right now, they're definitely going to be the most disappointing. Because what I'm seeing just about on every website is Vanderbilt was 8th. So right at the middle of the pack.
Where was Florida picked?
Well, according to sportingnews.com, they had them at 4th.
Okay.
But I don't know if I believe that. But yeah, just how far they've fallen. So all right, I've got Gary Parrish. We're going to go with his standings because we're just going to. He had Florida at 6th going into the what? No, it's the midterm. Anyway, look, everybody thought when Mike White came to Florida that he was going to turn this team back into the national powerhouse
Billy
it
Donovan
was.
powerhouse teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Tennessee wanted Mike White. They were going to back up the dump truck to him before they got Donnie Tyndall. And he said, no, I want to stay at La Tech. I got some good recruits coming in. 1 year later, he bounces and goes to Florida. And he's been there 4 years. I was talking with a huge Florida Gators fan the other night. He really probably knows more about them. No, not probably. He does know more about that team than I do. He said, man, we just don't have any offense. If we're not hitting our threes like we were in the first half against Tennessee, there's no offense. We just can't score. So, you know, they live and die by the three, and here lately they've been dying by it a lot. So,
Yep, they have been. So then just taking a break from the SEC, looking at some of the other games this week that are going to be happening. Obviously, the big one, Duke, Virginia, Part 2, was a great game the first time around. Duke coming out with a 72-70 win in a game that neither team really, especially Virginia, did not shoot the ball well at all. Duke obviously was without Trey Jones in that game with the shoulder injury.
yeah, he's back.
He is back now, so that will obviously make a difference for Duke. But Virginia, obviously we know about the defense, how good it is for them. They need to just take care of the ball and shoot. I mean, if they shoot even back to average, then they will. I think that they can win this game against Duke because they shot horribly in the first game. They shoot about 40% from three on the year. So if they can get that up to close to their normal average, then I think they have a good shot at getting revenge Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Duke in the first game against Virginia got a combined 57 points from Zion and RJ Barrett.
Yeah, that's how it's always.
I don't know if they're going to be able to stop them anyway.
Yeah.
I think they're probably going to get similar numbers here. And Trey Jones, coming back, leading that offense. I think Duke does win it. Even though it's at Virginia, I think that Zion, look, I said he was overrated a long time ago. And what I really meant by this was he's not the next LeBron James from what I see.
It's an unfair comparison for anyone.
It is, and that's why he's underrated as far as ESPN, and maybe rightfully so, are trying to latch on to him like they did LeBron. Like when LeBron was in high school, Brian Windhorst started covering him. And he's covered him his entire life, basically. They're trying to do that same thing with Zion. I just don't think his game is to the same level that LeBron's was and obviously is now. But as far as like dominating college basketball, he absolutely – I still think he's the best player in college basketball.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
he's just so much more athletic than everybody.
He's more athletic. He's stronger than everybody out there.
He's a freak.
He's like what you like to say all the time. He was designed in a lab to play basketball.
Yeah, he was.
But in the last matchup, both teams want to combine 5 for 31 from behind the arc.
It's not good.
And I've never really bought into Virginia because they're a defensive-minded team. Now I know they've improved a little bit on their offense compared to last year as far as this year is concerned, but they build their team around defense.
Yeah.
And I don't buy into that a lot. I just think if a team can get hot, like Duke can easily with some of the athletes that they got, I'm going to go ahead and pick them. So I like Duke to win this one and sweep this. And I'm not going to say it locks up the ACC, but it gives them that one game separation and the tiebreaker. So it helps them out a lot.
Right. A few other good games of note. Wisconsin at Michigan should be a good one there in the Big Ten. And then you got Villanova and Marquette. Should be a good one. Villanova playing a little bit better ball there. Louisville, Florida State. That's another ranked matchup there. Gonzaga has St. Mary's. They're usually about the only team that even really tries to put up a fight against Gonzaga in that conference. A few good games to to keep an eye out there for. One team that in the Big Ten that has been playing not fantastic ball and keeps on making me wait around to watch or have to switch channels to watch UT because they keep going to overtime.
I said that
or
the other
late
night when
in
we were
game.
watching.
The other night they went to OT with somebody, Indiana, and we had
Indiana
to
was the
switch
first
over
one.
to SEC alternate to watch Tennessee. And then Tuesday they were playing close with freaking 7-15 Illinois. It's Michigan State, and they're really starting to piss me off by making me switch channels to watch the number one team in the country.
Yeah.
What the heck, man? How are they still ranked in the top 10?
I don't know. I'm so confused because last week or 2 weeks ago they lost to Purdue and stayed at number 6.
Okay, so that one I kind of understood because right before that they beat 2 ranked teams in Maryland and Iowa, but now they've just lost. But now they've just lost to somebody else, and like they still should have fallen. Don't get me wrong, but like I kind of got where they were coming from. But now there's no excuses anymore after they just lost to Indiana.
Look, and time is gonna play this one out like it always will. They've still got to play Michigan.
Yeah.
They've still got to play some of these other teams in the Big Ten who, honestly, the Big Ten's pretty good at basketball. They're a lot deeper at basketball than they are football, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So they still got some tough games on the
They
docket.
still got Wisconsin?
Yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah. So I think eventually it will work itself out. I really hope the committee doesn't just buy into this Tom Izzo love fest and give them a 2 seed and they're ranked at like 28 or 24th. And they're a team too that people love to pick to go to the Final Four just because of the coach. Like people don't even know their roster and they pick Michigan State just because of Izzo. I'm tired of the love fest for them. They suck. Well, they don't suck, but they've lost.
They've lost 3 in a row.
They shouldn't be at number 9. Like now, granted, the teams after them aren't, great either. But you lose those 2 games, you need to be lower than 3 spots that you were the week before.
For sure would agree with that. So looking at the top teams, I guess is this on our slides? Is this what like Lenardi has projected as the 1s and 2s?
Yeah, so that was the bracketology as of Tuesday, I believe. Okay. I'm pulling up he's got one right now. But it's the same. It's the same bracketology as of Tuesday.
Cool. So the 1 seeds currently projected Duke, Tennessee, Virginia, Gonzaga. The 2 seeds projected Michigan, Michigan State, Kentucky, North Carolina. Okay, so out of this 8, who could you see maybe sliding down off of 1? And like a 2 seed, who could you see maybe sneaking in there and stealing a 1?
As far as the 1s go, Gonzaga's in the easiest conference. I think they're going to take care of their business.
Won't lose again until tournament time.
Right. I think I'm not going to pick against Tennessee except for midseason SEC favorite to win.
A loss to Kentucky is not going to sink Tennessee.
Right. They could lose 1 game the rest of the way, which is probably the most likely scenario. They lose 1. And that's at Kentucky, and they still get a 1 seed. So I think Duke, like I said, Duke has got 2 of the best players. 2 of the top 4 players in college basketball.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to beat Virginia. So by default, I think Virginia's going to fall out because they're going to lose to Duke again, I feel like. And they still got, a few more tough games in that schedule. So I think as far as the 1 seeds go, I think Virginia's probably the odd one out here. What are you thinking here as far as the 1 seeds go?
I agree with that because I think Duke's going to win Saturday. I see Virginia maybe sliding out there. And then, I don't think Gonzaga's going to lose again. I think Duke and Tennessee both win their conferences, which pretty much locks them in for 1 seeds. So just like the 2 seeds, we talked about it, man. Kentucky is rolling right now. Mm-hmm. Their defense is so good. PJ Washington is playing like a man possessed. If they can get, like I talked about, Keldon Johnson playing back to the way he was playing at the start of the year, maybe. I don't know if you can give 2 number 1 seeds to the SEC because one of them will have to win the tournament.
Right. I don't think
But
they
like
buy into the tournament
Kentucky,
as far as that goes.
yeah.
Like if they both make it to the championship game,
Like
and
if
let's
one
say
of them wins, if one
let's say
wins
they
the regular
split
season,
the
yeah,
regular season 1-1, and then they make it to the championship game, it's a good game, like it
yeah,
was last year. I think that's very
both
likely to
number
happen.
ones, yeah, I could see that happening.
Because
And
I
then
mean,
of
you look
course,
at their schedule.
right,
It's not, it's SEC. It's kind of tough, but it's not, they
it's
got
not
LSU
ACC
and Tennessee
either.
twice, and that's it.
Yeah,
Like nothing else scares me.
yeah. So I mean, I just think they're playing such good ball right now.
Right, and that's my pick too. If I had to pick a 2 to jump up, I like
Yeah,
Kentucky. I think Michigan is not overrated, but I don't think they have that one player that really just could take over a game like these other
yeah.
teams do.
If you shut down Iggy, I don't even know how to really pronounce his last name, Brandzikas or however you say it.
Yeah,
If
I
you
know who you're
shut
talking
him,
about.
like he's their main scorer. Like
Right.
if you kind of shut him down, then they're gonna have trouble probably scoring against you. So
Right. And then we talk about Michigan State, not sold on them. North
yeah,
Carolina, I haven't really got to watch a lot of North Carolina, so I can't really give an honest
I
take
haven't
on them.
either. I know they
I just
still
feel
have
like
Luke
they just don't
May.
feel the same. Maybe they're just hiding in the dark, but
Yeah, still have Luke May.
they
But yeah,
feel
I
like
mean
they've been there for 30 years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the ACC talk is always dominated by Duke, Virginia, lately. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you get all the highlights. North Carolina just
And
kind
that
of
might be what North
sleeps
Carolina wants.
around. Yeah, North Carolina just kind of sleeps around, and they'll sneak up on you. So
Sneak up and beat somebody.
we'll see. And as far as the Vols go, beat A&M, beat Missouri last week pretty easily. Nothing really ever in doubt with either of those games. A&M, I will say, was pissing me off. That Nebo guy, he kept getting all those putback slams. He had like 4 putback dunks. That
Yeah.
was getting really, really annoying. Some offensive rebounding issues there for Tennessee, not boxing guys out. But nothing in those games ever really in doubt. Winning both by A&M by almost 20 and Missouri by about 12. They got Florida Saturday and then South Carolina next week. I'll be at the Florida game Saturday cheering on the Vols for
TBA.
TBA. Checker TBA. Yeah, I got to find something white to wear. All I have is a bunch of orange. But should be 2 more wins, I think. Both games at home. Neither team really scares me. We've beaten them both. Florida gave us a run down in Gainesville, but I think it'll be a different story when they come to
It's
Knoxville.
it's a lot different story. When you get a hot team shooting at home, it feels like the crowd can kind of carry them.
Yeah,
You get a hot team on the road, you feel like you have a better chance of shutting them down or maybe stopping them. So
right.
if Florida comes out and can't hit anything, I feel like it's going to get ugly fast.
Yeah,
Which Tennessee, aside from a few examples, they haven't really just ran away from anybody. Like
they
when I
really
talk about run
have.
away, I talk about like 20, 30-point win. Like the
Yeah,
Georgia game, that's running away from somebody.
yeah. It's been a while.
They,
They've gotten off to some hot starts, and then they kind of just
and then that middle part,
cool off, and teams come
right,
back and kind of play with us for a little bit there.
right. And then I think it was the A&M game where they got within like three or
Mhm.
4, but then the Vols just kind of went on a little run there, like a 9-0 run, I think.
Yeah,
Bowden had some buckets.
yeah.
It's just like they feel like they're almost within arm's distance,
And then
and
you
they just push them back away, and then they
right.
take care of business.
And
So,
Tennessee has so many ways to beat you because
exactly.
we've seen guys have bad nights. We've seen Grant have bad nights. We've seen Admiral have bad nights, and Bones had a couple bad nights. But like then you have Turner and Bowden that can come in and just put Tennessee over the edge, and then Turner comes in and hits a couple scoopy layups and a 3, and what do you know, you're down by 12. So they just have so many ways. You can shut down one guy, but you can't shut down all 7 of them.
A real quick thing to throw out. I finally figured this out. So by my count, if Grant Williams does win the Player of the Year again, which we all kind of think it's a lead in that direction,
Yeah.
he would only become, I think, if I counted right, the 8th player in the SEC to do that. So,
yeah.
And there's only been
Select
2
company.
players to ever win 3 of those awards, and that's Pistol Pete
Pistol
and
Pete.
Bernie Bernard King.
Okay. I knew Pistol Pete. I didn't know who the other one was.
Yeah.
It's a select company there.
Yes, it is.
That's pretty much all the basketball talk we got to get to today. We're going to take one last quick little break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about signing day for the Vols, and then we'll take some questions, and then we will head on out the door. So hang with us, and we will be right back. We got a little, before that, though, infieldflysports.com. That's our new website. Go check it out. We've done a lot of work on there. All our social media sites are on there. All our podcasts are on there. You can subscribe to our newsletters. You can subscribe to our podcasts. You can look at our Instagram feed. You can do anything on there except for illegal stuff. So please go check it out, infieldflysports.com. We really appreciate that. We really appreciate you guys listening along. We're going to talk a little bit about the Vols football team. They came out with a great recruiting class for Jeremy Pruitt's first class. Most of the guys had already signed in the winter, but the last 2 spots they had open were filled by Darnell Wright, and the offensive lineman, and the linebacker from California, Henry Toto, who has way too many apostrophes in his name. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he was a steal from Alabama. Wrapped up a good class for Jeremy Pruitt's first year. I'll go ahead and say that I am not a professional when it comes to recruits. I know the big names. I know when Tennessee gets good ones, but I don't break them down as much as Blake Rochelle does. So I'm going to let him take the reins here and tell you what you want to hear.
I love recruiting so much because there's no wins and losses on the board when it comes to recruiting. And there's always so much optimism, usually around Tennessee. Tennessee usually recruits well regardless of who the coach is.
Because it's Tennessee. They can
right, the brand recruits itself. Yeah. But it certainly helps to have a good coach there with a good character, unlike Butch Jones. But you hit the nail on the head. Darnell Wright, Henry, I don't know. I don't know how you say it. We'll figure it out.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah. They only signed 2 guys today, filled up their class with those 2 guys. Depending on where you look, both of them are 5 stars. Darnell Wright, he's the 2nd best offensive tackle to go along with the 5th best offensive tackle, and Wanye Morris. A lot of people think Darnell Wright is probably going to play right away. Going to need to lose some weight. Wanye Morris may start at guard, but he's not expected to play as early as Wright. As far as Henry T, we'll call him Henry T for short.
There we go.
This was a position of need for the Vols. They are really thin at linebacker right now. They would have taken more guys, obviously, if they would have came there. I know Chris Bogle, who actually committed to Florida today, was another guy they wish they could have got. They would have made the numbers work for him. But they're really thin at linebacker. So to get this guy, and to also steal him from Alabama, makes it really good. As far as the rest of the class goes, most of these guys signed in December. And so that's why yesterday is kind of a letdown. It's not as fun as it used to be. I can remember back when I was in college, me and a buddy, I went to his house on signing day. I woke up. I didn't have class until the afternoon, but I woke up at like 6 a.m. I went to his house, and we watched all the signing day together because we were big Tennessee fans. But as far as the rest of them go, I mean, you guys have heard the names, Kavaris Crouch and Raymel Keaton being the other top 2 guys that we didn't bring up. But as far as some of the top players, some guys that could probably play early on, I think Ramel Keaton, because receiver to me is an easy position to learn. So I think Keaton's probably going to get some playing time early on. I think Jalen McCullough, who is a safety, I think he has potential to step right in and maybe playing some nickel and dime packages. Tennessee, not super talented at safety right now. I know a lot of people love Nigel Warrior, but he's not really good in coverage. And then we talked about Darnell Wright, probably going to step right away and play right tackle right away. As far as the other guys, I don't really know if they are going to play right away. I mean, they're obviously going to be freshmen coming in. But obviously Tennessee got the 12th ranked class, finished real strong today. I'm happy with what happened. We kind of knew we were going to get Darnell Wright. It was, he had been leaning towards Tennessee heavily for a long time. And there was even talk that he maybe even silently committed to him behind closed doors. But to get Henry T, it just is a cherry on the top because, like I said, it was a position of need. The Vols need more linebackers. They still need more. But to get him, excellent athlete. I think he's actually from Hawaii.
He's from
but
he played at De La Salle.
Right. But, I mean, he's Polynesian. So,
yeah.
I mean, I've watched some interviews with the guy. He seems like a great kid. So I'm excited. Still in recruits from Alabama. Actually, a couple other teams did that today. Florida stole one from them. Miami stole one from them. Florida, as far as who had the best day, I think Florida did, sadly. They jumped like 5 or 6 spots just today. So, and the thing about the SEC that is just awful as far as football recruiting goes, you look at the top 5 teams in the rankings.
Yeah.
1 is Alabama, 2 is Georgia, 3 is Texas, 4 is A&M, 5 is LSU. So 4 of the top 5 teams in all of college football are from the SEC. So then if you think, well, Tennessee got the 12th best class. Okay, but that's
like 7th best.
That's 7th best in the SEC.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's comical, really.
It really is.
It hurts too because these are the teams you're going to be playing against. Like Tennessee's going to play Alabama every year, going to play Georgia every year. They have a chance to play A&M and LSU, depending on how the schedule works out, but they play Florida every year. So, there's teams ahead of you that you play every year. So while I'm happy that we are 12th, I'd like to be higher. I feel more concerned about where we rank as far as SEC rank goes than the country. Because if you're getting the best talent in the league, then you're competing better in the league.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had really 3 huge needs going into this class. It was linebacker, like I said, and it was in the trenches. Oh, sorry, just dropped my phone. And then, of course, we saw what they did on the offensive side of the ball. They've got 2 of the top 5 offensive tackles. They got some really big guys to play guard. You look at Jackson Lampley's projected to play guard. Melvin McBride, a guy who's 6'3" and 312 to play guard. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they didn't really get any defensive talent as far as highly ranked players, but they got big dudes. Their number 1 defensive tackle is a community college, Savion Williams. He's 6'4", 300. But the guy that I love, if I had to pick one guy to this class that I love just because of looks or meanness or what he looks like on tape, is Elijah Simmons from Pearl Cone. The guy, I don't know if you've seen the picture on Twitter, but it's the guy with the chain around his neck and he's grabbing the baseball bat and he's got on I think it's a red shirt or whatever. He is 6 foot, so he's as tall as I am, but he weighs 350 pounds. His head is massive. This guy is going to be a run stuffing machine. I'm excited about that because that was kind of the problem with Butch Jones is we had athletes playing tight end. We had tight ends playing tackle. We had small guys for that spread offense. But Pruitt and Chaney are look, we're going to run the ball. We're going to be physical. And so they go out and get an Elijah Simmons to be on the defensive side of the ball, who is 6 foot, 350 pounds. The tight end that they got, Jackson Lowe from Georgia, 6'5", 235. And obviously he's going to put on some weight when he gets to school, but he's a big kid. So I think they addressed their needs. Linebacker as best they could, obviously. And they got some big dudes to fit their scheme. So overall, I think it was a good signing class. You know, it's Pruitt's first full one, and I think he did it about as well as he could, if not better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought the quote from him yesterday was pretty funny about going into a recruit's home and seeing the basketball team on TV kicking ass helps a lot. I thought that was pretty good. Just a testament to Tennessee. Just like you said, the brand recruits itself, man. And we're going to be – I like what Pruitt's doing, so I hope that we find ourselves back on top soon. But that pretty much wraps up everything. We got a couple of questions we are going to get to. So the first one comes from Mr. Daniel Williams, who I think is
my future brother-in-law.
There you go, future brother-in-law. And he wants to know if the Braves are going to make the necessary move to get the starting pitcher that they need to make a run to the World Series. So I'll let you take that one. You are the Braves expert here.
I am the Braves expert on this podcast. I will say that. All right, I'm going to take this two different ways. Do I think that they're going to make the move, and what would be the move, or what would I do? So do I think they're going to make the necessary move? No. Yep. There's only really one guy out there that would kind of counteract all the moves that the Mets have made, that the Nationals have made, that the Phillies have made and are going to make, and that would be to go to sign Dallas Keuchel, a Cy Young winner. You know, a guy who would pitch, in my estimation and my projection, fantastic in this ballpark. He's not a strikeout guy who's going to, you know, potentially leave something over the plate, you know, trying to fool a hitter. He's a guy who demands weak contact. And what we've seen out of SunTrust Park, probably going to have a different name next year, by the way. Not this next season, but the year after that.
2020.
Yeah. He demands weak contact, and that would work great in this, what is looked like now, a hitter's ballpark, and how fast the ball carries out of there. I don't know how they can come to be as far as contracts are concerned, but I think, and I don't want Anthopoulos to freak out and just make a panic move, but I think this is a good move. It might be viewed as a panic move from the media who don't really understand kind of what's going on with the franchise and where they really are. But to lean on that many young starting pitchers, because you're looking at Fulte is your ace. I mean, that's for certain. And then you've got Gausman and Newcomb in some combination of 2 and 3. Those are absolutely where you're standing. It looks like Julio is going to be the 4. I don't know why. He's definitely shown us that he can't do it at this level anymore, at least for us. And then 5, you're leaning on not a rookie, but a young pitcher.
Yeah.
You're either leaning on Tukey, who I think will start in AAA, or you're leaning on Soroka, who is the one that I would pick personally. With his shoulder issues, he says he's fine. But you're leaning on first off Julio Teheran to be your 4, and then you're leaning on Newcomb to be your 3, and he had some huge command issues last year. Yeah. So I think if you go get Keuchel and you put him at the top of that rotation, Mike Fultonavich as your number 2 pitcher, he's not the best number 2 in that, even in that division.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen Mike Fultonavich at his best, and it's pretty dang good to be the number 2.
Good. Yeah.
Move Gausman down to the 3. I like what Gausman did when he came over. And then you move Newcomb down to 4, and then you put Julio on the bench, or you put him in somewhere else, some other ballpark, and you put Soroka at 5. You are still leaning on, Newcomb and Soroka at 5, but instead of, the 3-headed diabolical monster with Teheran mixed in there, you've really only got 2 young guys, and you have kind of a revolving door at the 5. If Soroka's not working out, you send him to AAA, let him work on some things, and you call up another one of your top pitchers prospects.
Right.
You do have enough of those. But yeah, I think Dallas Keuchel will be the right move. And I kind of didn't like it. I didn't like the idea at first, but seeing what the rest of this division is doing, if we're trying to win right now, which I think we still have the offense to do, you got to do it. You got to go get another pitcher, because that is what cost us in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get guys out. Now, we couldn't hit the ball in the first 2 games of that series either. That wasn't the question. The question was about pitching. If you want to know what I think we should do about hitting, you should go to our website and apply to be a guest and want to talk about it, or you should send us a request through one of our social medias about it. So
You definitely should. Our other question came from Mr. Scott Jeffcoat, and he is ready to talk about some college baseball. He said, is it too early to talk about them? Who's our favorites? Because he hears that LSU is beyond loaded this year. I will be the first one to admit that I do not follow college baseball nearly as closely as I follow professional baseball.
It's harder
I
to.
can't give you. It is harder to. And I will say that during the regular season. Now, when postseason play rolls around, I'm all about some college baseball.
Right.
Regionals, super regionals, College World Series. That is prime viewing. But yeah, I mean, the SEC is always loaded. The ACC is always loaded. You look at the rankings. You know, Vandy's at number 1 right now. LSU number 2, Texas Tech 3, Louisville 4, UCLA, Florida. That rounds out your top 6. And then you got North Carolina, Oregon State, Georgia, Ole Miss finishing out the top 10 there. Yeah, I mean, the SEC. You also have Mississippi State, who's ranked in the SEC, and Auburn. It's going to be interesting. I can't say that, I know a lot of players right now. I know Texas lost Cody Clemens. I know that Oregon State is looking to repeat. Like I said, I'm no expert at all, but I know the SEC always is producing high level college baseball. So we'll see what happens. I wish Tennessee was decent, but they're not.
Yeah, they seem to be the bottom dwellers in the SEC.
Yeah, but Tennessee Tech is good, and they got a new coach this year. Hopefully, they can continue having the success that Coach Braga brought here, and Coach Braga heading off to Rice to follow in a legendary coach's footsteps there. Hopefully, he will continue to see success in his career out there. So,
yeah, I mean, roster turnover. They had something like 8 guys get drafted this year.
yeah.
And I don't think they had ever had more than 1 player drafted in a draft. I think that's right.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was a record for them getting
For sure.
those many guys drafted.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean SEC pumps out the talent. Obviously, Vanderbilt at number 1. We've seen the players that they've put out.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting too. I don't really know how these rankings work. I said, I don't follow much of the regular season. I try to pay attention to Tennessee baseball.
Yeah,
but it just feels different. College baseball just feels different to me. Not that it's not pure. It just didn't feel like the same. Not the same. It feels different than pro ball. Like I love pro ball.
Yeah.
That's the baseball that I grew up learning, knowing, watching.
College it's just weird to me because it's just weird to me because I prefer. But it's the same thing. Like I grew up watching pro, but I prefer college football over pro football, and I prefer college basketball over pro basketball. But here I prefer professional over college.
Right. And I mean, even when we were little though, like there wasn't much marketing for this college baseball, and there's still not a lot. SEC Network's helped out tremendously with it.
Yes, it has.
But what my whole point what I was trying to get to is out of the top 4 teams, 2 of them weren't ranked in the final rankings last year.
Yeah.
That seems very odd to me. Like, and then you go through the rest of the top 25 and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the top 25 weren't ranked last year. I can kind of get some of the teams at the bottom. Maybe they've got a good recruiting class, or maybe they've got some seniors that are maybe going to produce better this year. But 2 of the top 4 weren't ranked at the end of the year last year. That's puzzling to me. I'd like to know kind of the story behind it. Maybe I'll do a little research for that. It's like I said, it's a different kind of game to me. I love watching the College World Series though, especially when Tech was in it last year.
Yep.
That was some fun times. So.
Yeah, well, that pretty much wraps up everything we had today. I think we got to everyone's questions. If we didn't, sorry. And you can submit your complaints, or you can submit a form to be a guest, or you can submit your other questions on our website, infieldflysports.com. I guess it's my turn for out the door this week. So I have a question, and this comes from a poll. I'm basing it off a poll that we saw on Twitter. I can't remember who tweeted it, but it was like, which of these things do you think you could do in an MLB game? And it was like steal a bag, pitch an inning without dying, field a 110 mile an hour ground ball, whatever. So my question is not that, it's if you could do one of these things successfully, athletically, which one would you pick? Throwing a baseball 100 miles an hour, dunking a basketball, or being able to make a 60-yard field goal with ease? Which one of those are you picking? You can do it. You can do it. You have no problems doing any of these things.
Okay. So, kind of a question here.
Okay.
So, dunking the basketball, I can just dunk, or I'm uber athletic?
Like you're super good at all of them. I mean, you're throwing 100. That's,
Right.
you're like peak.
What I'm saying is, like, I can dunk, but does that
Yes.
mean I can jump really high, or does that just mean I just have this weird ability just to dunk?
No, I mean, you have to be able to jump high to
Okay.
dunk.
All right. I'm just trying to make sure we're doing this right. Even saying that, I think I'm probably going to go with field goal.
Okay.
Because throwing a baseball 100 miles an hour, there's a lot of guys who can do that now.
There is a lot of guys that can do that.
And what I'm thinking about for my own success is what's going to make me the most money and what am I going to be the most successful at. Throwing a baseball 100 miles an hour, granted, it's going to get me to the big leagues probably if I can do it well and I can control it. But you always have that fear factor of your elbow blowing out. I can't do that. I can't do it. I said this to you, I think earlier this week. My biggest injury fear, and one of my biggest fears, is just walking somewhere and rupturing my Achilles. Like, I have that fear. But yeah, just having that fear factor of blowing out your elbow. Dunking, I don't have any desire to play in the NBA with where it is right now. So I don't want to be in all that drama. It feels like the WWE right now, and I don't want to be in the middle of all that. Although it would be cool. I've actually dunked a basketball one time in my entire life.
On a 10-foot goal?
Yes, on a 10-foot goal, you moron.
With a trampoline underneath you?
No, it was me, basketball shoes, basketball jersey, goal.
And somebody on their knees.
No, it wasn't in a game, but no, but I don't want to play in the NBA. But kicking a 60-yard field goal, I feel like if I could kick a 60-yard field goal easily, than that too.
Yeah.
And then just that potential of a game-winning kick, because if you kick in the NFL, now I'm not saying there's a great chance, but there's a pretty good chance that you're either going to have to kick a game-winning field goal or a field goal that could put you ahead late.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be awesome.
Oh, I'm 100%.
Plus, kickers have like the longest. If you're a good kicker, you have like the longest career of any sports player in anything.
Right. Ask Adam Vinatieri.
Right.
Still kicking at like 45. I'm 100% teaching my kid how to kick a football. That way I can just retire and live off him when he gets to the NFL. I would pick dunk a basketball just because I don't care about playing professional sports in any of these. But like if I'm just going to go play pickup with my buddies and I'm playing intramurals, I want to cram it on somebody.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the only reason I would pick that. And like I haven't actually dunked a basketball mainly because I have tiny little girl hands and I can't palm a ball. I can't even palm a girl's basketball.
You got Donald Trump hands. You got the small
hands.
have
tiny hands. But I could dunk a volleyball when I was the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, just messing around in the gym. But then my knees kind of went bad, so I never really got any higher than that. And I can't palm a ball. That's really an issue when you're trying to dunk, is palming.
I don't even know if I could touch the rim right now if I tried.
I still can. I jumped up there and popped it the other night before our intramural game just to make sure the other team was aware. But yeah, that's the one I'd pick. So it's been a fun show, guys. Make sure infieldflysports.com. That's the new site. We're going to be posting a lot of stuff on there. Hope you guys follow along with us. If you've been along for the ride this far, we appreciate it. If you're just jumping on now, we appreciate you too.
Invite your friends. Share the podcast.
Share it. Share it on Facebook.
Grow this brand.
Yes, we're trying to get sponsored by Body Armor. We want to.
If you listened last week.
Yes, we want to get enough money that we can free 21 Savage, bring him back to America. R.I.P. John Wall's Achilles. R.I.P. Frank Robinson dying today, MLB legend.
Broke barriers. I did not realize that he was the first African American manager, and he was a player manager.
Yep,
for the Indians.
Pretty awesome stuff.
Kevin Durant, shut up! I hate you. You're an idiot. I don't know if you saw his quotes with the media. He's like, "I'm just here to play basketball." And he was dogging the guy that was interviewing him, just the guy doing his job, and telling him he needed to grow up and quit asking him questions. Yeah, go watch it if you're ready to get angry. He's an idiot. He knows what he's doing. They asked him about the Porzingis trade, and he knows what's going on. He's going to the Knicks.
Oh, yeah.
Clearing that money up for
him. He's already bought
Kyrie
2
Irving.
condos there. Everyone in the Lakers, it's awkward now because
poor LeBron.
LeBron tried to trade the whole team, but they're all still there.
Mad respect for the Pelicans, though, man. That's how you do it. If somebody is messing, like, there's obvious tampering going on with the Lakers and Anthony Davis. I mean, he fired his agent I think it was last summer, and picked up LeBron's agent. Everybody knows what's going on, and then they sit there and try to disrupt the chemistry. I love it, man. That's awesome.
The whole team hates LeBron. He's just sitting Rondo's over here sitting in the crowd instead of sitting by him.
Woj from ESPN, I think it's Adam. Dude, when you talk about covering a league, he is the top notch as far as covering his league. He is the best. He's better than Schefter at the NFL. He's better than Rosenthal at the MLB. He is the top notch. He's like the only guy that anything in the NBA ever gets broken by. Yeah. So, hey, there's our NBA talk for the week.
Yep, that's it. That's our only NBA talk we've ever done in 16 episodes.
Wrong. I put some NBA content on our Twitter, and I'm pretty sure I put last week.
I think we got hacked whenever that happened.
As an intern.
Damn intern. Watch, look out. We're coming for you. InfieldFlySports.com. It's been fun, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
I'm victorious. Dum, dum, dum. Glorious. I won't give in till I'm victorious. Dum. That's our break music. It's just me singing that song.